This is the Hygge Vester, and this is my backpack in a very handy basket, which I'm actually just going to get out of the way for now. All you do is pull those and it's gone. From Huga, a Danish company who make very nice e-bikes. As you can see, it's a fat tire foldable e-bike, but a bit different than your usual shape because this is nice and slim with the Huga branding there. And because this is nice and slim, there's no battery inside, which means the battery is right here. As I was talking then, I was riding with no power, and whilst I've ridden easier e-bikes, it wasn't too bad. So I can safely say that if I was to run out of batteries, I'd be able to get back. Now I'm going to give myself a bit of pedal assist. It is a 250 watt motor, and they do want to keep it legal. So they want to make sure this bike has no question of a doubt it is absolutely legal in the EU and the UK to ride, which is admirable. One thing I will say though is they do sell an add-on little thumb throttle that I've just kind of really easily added on. You can use it to power yourself up to around 15 to 16 miles an hour or 25 kilometers per hour. So yeah, apart from that, it is totally legal. It's totally optional, that thumb throttle. You don't have to have it on. I like it, but technically a throttle does make your e-bike illegal, so up to you whether you're going to use it. I don't think on a bike that's totally legal adding a little throttle is going to get you into trouble, but you never know. The battery is not a massive battery, 13 amp hours, 36 volt battery, which is kind of fairly standard, meaning it's about 468 watt hours, so it hasn't got the biggest capacity in the world. They reckon up to about 60 kilometers of range, and obviously recently I've been riding bikes with 200 range, 260 in some cases. So 60 kilometers, which obviously is still quite a lot, but we'll try and work out if that's going to be about accurate as well. It does have a few nice things compared to other e-bikes. For example, it has a torque sensor, so if I lower the gear, so it kind of detects how hard I'm pushing the pedals, and if I'm only going around really slowly, it will only give me a bit of power. If I'm kind of pushing down, it'll give me all the power. Great thing about a torque sensor is that one, it will extend your range because you're always helping, and two, if you find yourself at a standstill trying to push off and you need to, and maybe it's hard as a pedal because maybe you were in the wrong gear or you're on a hill, it will give you power sooner than a cadence sensor because it will detect you trying to push as opposed to you having to do a few rotations of the pedals, which of course can be hard to do. Come on, come on, yeah! There we go, it's in. Not too bad. And it's got lovely brakes. It's got hydraulic brakes, which are great. The great thing about hydraulic brakes is that you don't have to yank the handles down to get maximum force. As soon as you pull down, the hydraulic fluid is pushed through the pipes and it crunches that brake down on the disc, giving you maximum stopping power. Now we're going 20. I'm going to do a brake test of this bin. Whoa. In the wet, obviously. So, as you can see, there's the bin from 20 miles an hour. That's pretty damn good in the wet. Front suspension only. Unlike some bikes though that rattle all the time, this is nice suspension, and if you don't want it, you can lock it out. I'm on the road with loads of potholes at the moment, so I'm going to purposely go through as many as I can, and the combination of the fat tyres, which fat tyres you don't have to pump them up really hard. You only have to have them to about 25 psi, which is not very much at all, so they're always a bit soft. And then the front suspension irons out the bumps for your arms, and to be honest, it's never that bad on your arse. I do like rear suspension, but on a fat tyre bike I don't miss it as much. 3, 2, 1, go. Will it get all the way up? This is definitely a true 250 watt e-bike because it's performing like one. and we get into the fat tree. It's a little bit better than a lot of them. So fat tree, so you'll be able to compare this when it stops with all the others. So I don't want to stress it out too much. So I'm going to call it at the grit box. And by getting to the grit box, the Hygge Vester is one of the strongest showings for a standard 250 watt e-bike. What I mean by standard is that it's not a more powerful e-bike just pretending to be 250 watts. Interestingly though, the Hygge Vester, that other great bike from Huga, managed to get a bit further up the hill, most likely due to that bike being quite a bit lighter than the Vesta. If you'd like to find out a bit more about the Vester, it is a very nice bike, and there'll be links to that at the end of this video and in the description. Now you're going to see us complete the hill. Oh, come on! Yeah, it's kicked in. It's just not mega powerful. That's all. But well, at least I've got a jacket on. Well, as you can see, despite that, it is still fairly easy to get up the hill. We aren't on an electric motorbike. We are on an e-bike. And yet, with pedalling, we can still get up Sandy Lane. So let's carry on. This is a legal e-bike, and because it's a fat tyre e-bike, I'm not really expecting much from a max mechanical speed if you're helping out, but we'll have a go. Right, come on. Huh. How you seeing? Ah. We're not getting much over that. My legs are burning already. Excuse time. I am recovering. I have been ill. I swear, kids always make fun of me here. I mean, it's a very nice e-bike. It's very posh. It's 27 kilograms, which for a folding fat tyre e-bike is quite light. This is quite easy to lift up compared to other fat tyre e-bikes that I've tried. Main reason for that is the battery is not internal, it's right there on the outside, and that might have you worried that maybe you can't ride it in the wet. As you can see, you can. Now, one thing that sometimes worries me is you don't need a key to run the bike. However, that's not really a problem with this bike, because as long as you've got the key, it's very easy to remove the battery. On this side of the battery, you've actually got a switch so you can turn the battery on and off, and you've got your charge port there. It charges up at a pretty decent pace. Put the key in, turn the key, battery lifts easily out. It was already locked. Turn the key, battery lifts, it was already unlocked. Easily out. On the screen, it tells you your charge in a percentage, not with bars, which is very nice. You can see the little bits of plastic slide in, lock it into place, and now it won't come out. What I will say is this key doesn't ever get locked into the battery, whether it's unlocked or locked. You can always pull the key out, so keep the key safe somewhere else. Don't leave it in just in case it falls out. So I've got to say, I like the style of this bike. It's got nice black but plastic mud guards. They're my favourite kind of mud guards, the ones that look like metal but aren't, because they're not clangy. This is a really nice, quiet, smooth ride. If you're after a fat tyre e-bike and you want it to be legal, and you want it to have nice things like hydraulic brakes, torque sensor, adjustable front suspension, mud guards, front and rear lights, rear rack. It's a good rear rack as well, like it integrates on the bike really well. A horn, a nice colour computer, gives you all the information. They're very similar to, well, it's exactly the same as the Hygge Vester computer. It's very nice, very visible. Like it's not sunny now, but it's very bright. I can see it perfectly. Hopefully you can see that. Yeah, it's great.
And of course the bike can fold. Let's see how easy that's done.
So let's get those pedals in first. Just push them, put it down, push, put it down. This unhooks after you've held down the little catch. So pull the little catch and then get the stand up, because that often gets in the way. It's going to land on this piece of metal here. So bring it in. You can see the wire running through the bike, which is a nice feature. Just put that together, let it land. Pull that down, and it is folded. Hang on, stay still. There we go. A folded fat tyre e-bike. So negatives, because you can't have a bike that has no negatives. Because what I don't like is the handles. Now the handles are actually okay. So if I was to own this bike, I'd probably replace those with those kind of wing handles that spread the surface area and they're just nicer on your hands. The saddle feels fine. The power compared to standard 250 watt e-bikes is absolutely fine. I like that you can lock out the suspension.
Hang on a second, I was meant to be doing negatives and I started talking about positives. So before I get all positive again, I do wish more was done to help the rider reach higher speeds. Yes, it is harder to pedal a fat tyre e-bike faster due to the increased rolling resistance of the tyres and of course the extra weight. So I would have liked to see the 8-speed Shimano Altus gears on the bike, or at least a gear ratio that allows the rider to push past the 20 mile an hour mark, just as many riders of non-electric bikes are able to do. It is a shame that it's hard to pedal fat tyre e-bikes quickly without power, because they do look so cool, and this bike does cruise really nicely at around 16 miles an hour. Indeed, the biggest negative of this bike has been thrust upon it by EU law. Again, it is admirable that Huga wanted to keep the bike totally legal, but well, the law sucks.
Something I do like actually about this bike, again, compared to other fat tyre e-bikes, they have this one issue where, despite the massive kind of crossbar of the bike to get the battery inside, they can't get the wires inside, so the wires are still all external and they can look a bit of a mess. Whereas this bike, because they've gone for the external battery, going quite well down here, they've managed to route the wires into the frame of the bike and it looks a lot neater. I'm a massive fan of many of those other branded fat tyre e-bikes, but this one, it's kind of like if Apple made a fat tyre e-bike. It all works, it's all neat, it's all easy to use, and it's all top quality stuff.
Other features of the bike are a nice sturdy kickstand, decently powered front and rear lights, though the rear light is not a brake light, which is a shame. Along with the rear rack, the bike also has fixings for a front rack, which means that the Vesta can also be used as a smaller cargo e-bike too.
Really like the rear rack, because unlike some fat tyre e-bikes, it is integrated onto it, so it fits onto the frame of the bike here, and then it's got a max capacity of 15 kilograms, lower than some seem to have a capacity of about 25, but 15 is still quite a lot to put on the back of your bike. And then this basket, which is a Huga branded basket, well actually I say it's Huga branded, it's got a sticker on the back that says Huga, and that just kind of squeezes onto there, and on your standard commute it's going to be absolutely fine. If you do jumps and stuff on the way to work, then it might not. And there's my backpack full of stuff, which fits in nicely. And I think they supply some hooks as well, which are not with me right now. But that's a cool little idea, because I like the way you could actually get to a shop, you could take it off, and then you can actually go shopping with it.
And despite the Shimano Tawny gear set they've gone with at the back, they've opted to use the much nicer double lever gear shifters, which usually go with the more expensive Shimano Altus gears.
Now, probably the elephant in the room is the price, because it is more expensive than comparably spec'd Chinese e-bikes. Remember, this bike is not, it's a Danish e-bike, they're a Danish company, Huga. You might be able to get a Chinese version that's similar specs, and when I say similar specs I mean the battery and the motor, but you get a lot of things extra for that 1,500. One, you know it's definitely legal. Two, hydraulic brakes rather than mechanical. Three, better quality gears. Four, as a brand, they're having service centres in the UK. There's many UK stores, big stores, you can get this bike from. So if you have an issue, it's easy just to go back to those stores and they'll sort it out for you. The saddle is nice and comfortable, and it goes up to, there's the safe height. I wouldn't have it that high, I could have it that high, up to about 6'4", you'd be okay on this. And then all the way down to there. 5 foot. Yeah, I reckon you'd be alright if you were Kylie Minogue sized. Now I'm nearing the end of my test. We've done about 6-ish miles. We lost about 20% battery. So times 6 by 5, that is about 30 miles. So considering they said you could do 60 kilometers on a full battery, and also when you take into account that when people say 60 miles on a full battery, they mean the lower pedal assist and lighter riders, I think getting around 25-ish miles on this, because let's take a few off because the last few miles are never quite as good because of the low battery. I think 25 miles is alright on this if you're going around at like full power. That's not too bad. If you want to put a bit of exercise in yourself, then yeah, you're going to get more. And obviously that torque sensor is going to help out as well. But that was the Hygge Vester. And along with their other bike I tried before, the Hygge Vester, it's quality. I really like it. Yeah, I'd love to go faster. But if you want to keep it legal, then this is a very nice bike. And it's going to get you up all but the most challenging hills. Like if you live in Cornwall or even Sedgley, if you don't know where that is, look it up. But if they're really steep hills, then you might have to put a bit of graft in yourself, but you're still going to get up there way better than you will on a normal bike. So if you do need a fat tyre e-bike that is legal, that is very posh, well made, really nice components, light, and has servicing stations in the UK, and whose customer service has a really good reputation, then you can't really go wrong with the Hygge Vester. If you're interested in this Hygge Vester, we do have links down below. I think they're affiliate links, I can't remember to be honest. There might be, I'll say down below they are. So yeah, use those because it helps out the channel. If this video helped in any way, then hit that thumbs up button. If you didn't like this video, then thumbs down. We got loads of e-bikes reviewed on the channel, so if you want something a bit faster, or maybe something that doesn't fold, or maybe something that goes faster when you're pedaling it, something heavier, something uglier, check out the channel. There's loads, and we'll have loads more, so feel free to subscribe if you want, but don't if you don't want to. We'll see you again, I'm sure we'll pop up. So until next time, thanks for watching the e-VRC in this rain that wasn't as bad as last time's rain, but still rain. Until next time, ride safe.